with 2 MVPs under his belt, 0 Super Bowls. If the Ravens were to go on a Super Bowl run this year, quarterbacks with 2 MVPs and a Super Bowl championship right now, or at least 1 Super Bowl championship, right? Peyton has 5 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls. Rodgers has 4 MVPs and 1 Super Bowl. The guys with 3 are Brady, Favre, and Unitas, 3 MVPs. And then, we know Brady's the 7 Super Bowls. Favre with 1, Unitas 1. 2 Super Bowls now. You have Patrick Mahomes, or the 2 MVPs. Mahomes, Kurt Warner, Steve Young, Joe Montana, and then it would be Lamar, number 5. Okay? So that all time is only 10 quarterbacks right there. And if Lamar entered that conversation, who would he automatically be behind, right? If he were to have 2 MVPs and a Super Bowl. He's still behind Peyton. He's still behind Rodgers. He's still behind Brady. Probably behind Brett Favre?
Probably,
yeah.
Well, because you have to keep in mind of Lamar, too. Like, Brett Favre went on more playoff runs than Lamar has. Right? Yeah. Lamar's been a lot of win one game and then get bounced.
Is he behind Johnny Unitas? Johnny Unitas is a weird conversation when you're talking all-time rankings. I guess he would still technically be behind Johnny Unitas.
We're talking about a guy who, helped popularize the forward pass.
Sure. So let's put Johnny Unitas there. Mahomes would be 6. I think he jumps Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner is a funny case, and that almost all of his, Kurt Warner played a lot of football, but something like 65% of his career output came in his couple of years with the Rams. It's actually crazy how much of his output came from 3 years in St. Louis.
Oh no, it's unbelievable. I think he jumps Kurt Warner.
I don't think he does, though.
I think he probably jumps Steve Young too. It was Steve Young, great. Amazing career, right? 3 Super Bowls, but only one of them as a starter. So I think he jumps Steve Young.
Steve Young doesn't really have 3 Super Bowls.
No, he doesn't. He is 1. He has 1 Super Bowl.
So I'm fine with him ahead of Steve Warner. I can't put him ahead of Kurt Warner because what Kurt Warner did from 1999 to 2001 has basically been unmatched in the history of football.
Yeah, but in that, you could still argue. Yes, you could still. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that.
This is decisive. I don't think it's crazy to have Lamar, especially because after 2001, Kurt Warner did very little except that 2008 year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's still behind Joe Montana, and that brings the number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 for me, 8 for you. Among the guys with 2 MVPs and a Super Bowl championship at least. Then it's okay, probably behind Dan Marino, probably behind John Elway. But then I think it gets really interesting, and that's where I say Lamar, does he enter the top 10 quarterbacks of all time with the Super Bowl trophy this year? Because you start thinking, okay, if you're to add up Super Bowls and MVPs, right? He's at 3 total. That's more than Staubach, who has no MVPs and 2 Super Bowls. That's more than Breeze, no Super Bowls and 1 Super Bowl and no MVPs. More than Tarkington, more than Roethlisberger.
Bart Starr never got an MVP, right?
Nothing for Bart Starr. It's you probably rank him ahead of Terry Bradshaw and Aikman, even though they have all the Super Bowls. Lamar enters a rarefied air if he can get there this season, and he could even, if they're winning a Super Bowl, he might even win another MVP. But to me, he's certainly in that mix for someone who can go down as a top 10 quarterback ever. Where right now, isn't that amazing? Where if he wins a Super Bowl this year, the trajectory of the Lamar Jackson conversation versus where it is right now. Right now it's a disaster, right? Get his coach fired. They're begging, people are begging him to show up for the team meeting or for team practices. So I think Lamar has a chance this season, though, if he goes on that run, to really enter probably that second tier of quarterbacks all time. And that conversation of him in the top 10 will absolutely get going.
I'll give you the list right now of players of more first team All-Pro selections than Lamar Jackson at quarterback.
Yeah.
Peyton, Unitas, Rodgers. That is it. If Lamar Jackson makes first team All-Pro next year, he'll be tied with Rodgers. It will only be Unitas and Peyton.
Who's he tied with right now? Do you have the list?
Oh, a gigantic list.
Okay.
The guys who have 3, Brady, Favre, Montana, Marino, Steve Young.
But still, those are the top tier guys, right?
Yeah, and then below him are guys like Mahomes, Kurt Warner, Rich Gannon, Drew Brees, Tarkenton, Stafford is one. Like getting first team all pro at quarterback is very difficult because there's not a lot of spots to go around. And I think this is an unfortunate feature of like what the era Lamar is in of the internet, right? Like Lamar Jackson isn't a quarterback, he's a running back. Memes have just permanently changed how people perceive this guy. I don't feel super great about his 2023 MVP. I didn't feel like he was head and shoulders above everyone else. Not every MVP is equal. But overall, Lamar Jackson has had an incredible career.
He's got to jump.
Changed how the game is played.
All time right now.
Super Bowl is the one thing he doesn't have.
If he has a Super Bowl winning season, does he jump Drew Brees for you?
Drew Brees is a tough case because so much of Drew Brees' career is the fact that he played in the best. Like, why does Drew Brees have one All-Pro selection? Because he played in an era with the best quarterbacks of all time.
And he has all the, 7 years, I think, where he led the league in passing. Drew has so many of the statistics.
Yeah, but it's tough for me to take a guy who was usually third or fourth fiddle in his own era. Like, if Lamar plays well enough to win a Super Bowl, right? Like, so we have to assume if like Lamar's on a Super Bowl winning team that he has played pretty well, right? That he's put together a borderline MVP season.
Yeah, then you have to put him ahead of Josh in this era.
Like then who since 2019 is like Lamar's been at worst the second best quarterback since he started starting?
Yeah, to the second best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, depending on wherever you put Mahomes.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking if Lamar goes on that run, and I think the Ravens are going to be really good. I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to have a great year. If he does,
you also say bounce back. I mean, he was hurt last year, but when he was healthy, he had a good year.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't have a Lamar Jackson caliber season. I think he bounced back to his MVP-esque form, and if he gets to that level, they win a Super Bowl, and he.
If Lamar
is he in the tier one? Is he in the tier because guys in the tier one of the NFL, you're probably putting Peyton, Rodgers, Brady, Favre, Unitas, Mahomes, Montana, and this is extending the tier one, right?
No, Favre is not in tier one.
Tier one is the very top of tier two. No, okay. I'm sorry. I'm making a very big tier.
I don't want Peyton.
You're right. You can't. Yeah, you're right.
There with like.
You're right. You can't do that.
Here's the question you ask: Is Lamar Jackson at the top of tier two? And I think the answer is sure. Lamar Jackson's probably going to retire with the record for best passer rating in NFL history.
When he's the best rushing quarterback ever.
So you have an incredibly efficient passer with the best rusher, with a Super Bowl, with 2 MVPs, who was consistently regarded as one of the best in his era.
Well, and this is where you start to wonder too. Had he won the MVP over Josh Allen a couple years ago, if he wins a Super Bowl with 3 MVPs, I mean, I think everyone.
I mean, I think the MVP thing's a wash. I don't think he was a runaway in 2023. Like he's had.
I agree. Yeah.
2019, that is a Super Bowl absolutely no one can dispute, or a MVP, excuse me.
Well, you know, so Lamar with the Super Bowl, I think me and you are both in agreement. I think he gets into the top 10. I think he's at 10 if he wins a Super Bowl.
But doesn't Lamar, I mean, we said this earlier about the Knicks and the Cavs. Don't the Ravens feel like another one of those teams where it's like, if it's not this year, then when?
Well, I don't
frankly,
know.
That year was last year.
Frank. Yeah, last year was
Jackson
the year.
Turns 30 next year.
Yeah, no, last year was the. I'm not going
to be one of those guys who says his style of play proves when he turns 32, he's going to be out of the NFL. Like he's not Cam Newton. But we've gotten spoiled with guys like Rodgers and Brady playing on into their 40s. Usually once you hit 30 in the NFL, you don't have a lot of time left.
Well, last year I actually thought, and Lamar's an interesting case because of the running ability and the injuries that if they pile up.
It's so crazy that last year, like it felt like that was the year for Lamar and Josh Allen, and Drake May went to the
I thought it was actually more Josh Allen's time last season with the playoff, the way the playoff field set up, and you didn't have Burrow, you didn't have Lamar, you didn't have Mahomes to lose to Denver the way they did, where Josh had just such a horrible game. That was crushing. Remember the post-game press conference, like the locker room. I mean, guys are crying. Like that felt like, and it ultimately was, right, the final straw of the McDermott era of just we can't do this anymore. I mean, this is too much. And Josh is another guy that I was trying to think when forming this, top 10 ever with a Super Bowl. Does Josh Allen? I mean, if Josh wins an MVP and wins a Super Bowl, he probably enters the top 10. Like both those guys have, really big time legacy defining stakes if they can get a Super Bowl. And if you can't, right? I mean, Dan Marino's the only dude on these lists who didn't win one.
I mean, here's if Josh Allen doesn't win a Super Bowl, we're going to look back on him as a guy who was very good, but was never a first team All Pro and never won a Super Bowl.
But if Josh Allen,
how you can win MVP and not get first team All Pro?
Yeah, that was weird. That was really strange. But Josh Allen is someone where if he winds up with 2 Super Bowls, he might push top 5 for some people. Like with his over. Now we're really starting to look into the future a lot here, but he'll be top 10.
There's one more way to look into the future. The Kansas City Chiefs became a better team this offseason. Patrick Mahomes, I know he's 30. I know he turns 31. He's still very good at football. People get very upset when you say this, but it's just true. If Mahomes gets to 4 Super Bowls or 5 Super Bowls, the gap between him and Brady in terms of championships starts looking a lot smaller. And I just don't buy the Bucks and the Chiefs played head to head in the postseason once in the Super Bowl and Mahomes lost. So it doesn't count. Anybody who goes back and watches that game will see that was the most heroic effort from a losing quarterback in the history.
Oh, yeah, that's when he was making the throws sideways.
Yeah.
But I find the AFC legacy conversation to be really interesting because you have 3 of the best quarterbacks in the history of football who are playing right now. And I'm not putting Burrow in that conversation until he does more. But you have 3 of the best quarterbacks ever. And there's only so many trophies to go around.